Welcome in. We are starting off the week with a more dry and warm weather pattern. The National Weather Service has issued a red flag warning until 5 today because we're also supposed to feel some more wind. Thanks for joining us. I'm Alexandra Lewis. As we take a live look out at Horsetooth Reservoir in Fort Collins, the red flag warning extends all the way from northern Colorado to down south over the Palmer Divide. So let's check in with Senior meteorologist Chris Bianchi with our 9 News Weather Impact team to check again this warm forecast and even more winds. Not the type that we were talking about last week, right?
Yeah, not anywhere near the level of what we saw last week, but still, it is very dry, it is very warm. So any fire that does start does have the potential to spread quickly around the foothills in particular. And we are already talking about, folks, it just hit noon. We've already had our daily record broken for us here in Denver. It's 71 so far today out at the airport. Most likely already up to 72, 73 right now, but can confirm it's 71 so far. Current daily record is 70. We've already broken the daily record for us here. And again, it's not even noon. Okay, at the airport, just the top, just this reading just coming in, 73 for us. So for a little context, that is now tied for our 4th warmest December temperature on record for us here in Denver, Colorado. Again here, folks, it's barely noon. Almost 80 in Ray. Again, December 22nd, Colorado, weird. 50s, 60s, Leadville 50, Kremling, Middle Park 55. This is bananas. Bananas warmth for us here, no doubt about that. And those winds are getting gusty. Out at the airport, 48-mile-an-hour gusts for us in Boulder at the Mesa Lab. I've seen some 60, 65 gusts. Those winds will be around for us, and we do have that high fire danger for today as well. We're going to get into detail on this and when it might finally cool down in just a few minutes.
All right, Chris, thank you. This morning, over 1,000 people are still without power after last week's major windstorms, according to Xcel's outage map. Most of those people are in the Boulder area. Nearly 120,000 people were without power at one point last week. As crews continue working on to restore the power, Xcel is asking those impacted for some feedback online. The company's in the process of drafting rules for how these safety shutoffs should work in the future. More than 1,000 people have already responded. Many say they understand why Xcel cut people's power, realizing a fire could have sparked and spread with the extreme winds and the dry conditions we were experiencing. But many are still concerned with Xcel's communication throughout the shutoff process.
And I got a message that said power has been restored. Then not 5 minutes later, I got a message saying that our power would be back on today at noon.
We called Xcel Energy, and when we did, they don't even know. So the customer service, they didn't even know how long it was going to last.
Xcel's president insists the company did what it could to update customers, starting with shutoff notices the weekend before they were happening, and then following up with customers as the outage progressed. He admits, though, there's always room for improvement. Well, right now, President Donald Trump is denying disaster funding to Colorado after wildfires and flooding. The funding request came after 2 disaster declarations Democratic Governor Jared Polis issued this year. In August, Polis declared a disaster emergency after the Elk and Lee wildfires hit communities in Rio Blanco County. The Lee fire grew to become the 5th largest in state history. Polis did the same after severe flooding in southwest Colorado in October. The flooding destroyed roads and damaged wastewater infrastructure. Damages from both disasters totaled about $30 million, exceeding FEMA's threshold to approve federal funding. Trump's disaster declaration would allow Colorado to recover a majority of the damage costs from the federal government. Polis, along with Senators Michael Bennet and John Hickenlooper, are calling on Trump to reverse the decision. The state hasn't been denied federal disaster aid since Trump's first term in 2018. However, the president has been pushing to reform FEMA. Part of a family's home is damaged after a fire broke out earlier this morning. Sky 9 was over the home about 7:15 as crews were trying to get this thing under control. Franktown Fire says the blaze mostly impacted the garage, with some damage to the main part of the home. Nobody was injured in this. This didn't threaten any neighboring homes either, but in this video, you can see that it really did scorch the brick. It blew out at least one window. A hearing is scheduled in court in a little over an hour just to see if a judge is going to accept guilty pleas from the owners of a funeral home in Penrose, where nearly 200 decomposing bodies were discovered. John and Carrie Halford ran the Return to Nature funeral home. They've both already pleaded guilty to state charges, but a judge rejected both of those deals after family members of the victims argued they were too lenient. Last week, the district attorney's office announced both John and Carrie agreed to new deals. John's would come with a 30 to 50-year prison sentence. Carrie's would be 25 to 35 years. If the guilty pleas are accepted, John's sentencing will be decided in February, Carrie's in April. A well-known immigration advocate who's been in ICE detention for 9 months is expected to be released in the next couple of days. A judge wrote a decision over the weekend saying Jeanette Vizgara could be released from the detention facility on bond. The decision from the U.S. District Court of Colorado said Vizgara's detention had become unconstitutionally prolonged. Sometime today, Vizgara is expected to post her $5,000 bond, according to the American Friends Service Committee of Denver. Once it's posted, it'll likely take about 12 to 36 hours, depending, for her to be released. This order from the judge is not a final decision about her case, which includes her challenge to a deportation removal order. A plane landed itself at Rocky Mountain Metropolitan Airport after the pilot lost consciousness. Garmin says it was the first activation and landing of its AutoLand system. This is brand new technology that takes control of a flight when a pilot can't.
Niner, Bravo, Romeo, pilot incapacitation. 2 miles south of Kilo, Bravo, Juliet, Charlie, emergency AutoLand in 19 minutes.
The computer's estimating to be on the ground here in a few minutes, and they are doing AutoLand procedures. We are expecting them to kind of stop on the runway.
This happened Saturday afternoon. The airport told us the plane landed safely. We don't know how the pilot is doing this afternoon or if anybody else was on board. Garmin says it will share additional details at the appropriate time. At least one person in California has died because of flash flooding, and people there are looking at the chance for even more rain headed their way. Millions of people are expected to travel for the holidays. Busy airports and travel centers can expose you to sickness at the worst time of the year. We have tips on how you can stay healthy.